Nowhere is a brand new 2023 Netflix original thriller, and this is about a man and a woman who live in Spain. Now, this is kind of a fictionalized version of Spain where there's been this like dictatorship put into place where they are essentially eradicating people because they're running out of resources. And so these guys are trying to flee the country to Ireland, and they get into a shipping cargo container. Some really bad shit goes down. She is separated from her husband, and she is left in this cargo container, and the cargo container ends up in the ocean with just her. Oh, and did I mention she's like 9 months pregnant?
Yeah.
So this is the very definition of like a kitchen sink film for me. This is
Yeah.
like one of those movies I talk about where it's like, I, you know, I should actually start referring to these as Murphy's Law,
Yes.
right? These are
That
Murphy's
is what
Law
they
films.
are. Yes.
Everything that can go, everything that can happen will happen, right?
Yes.
But most people think of it in the negative way. Anything bad that can happen will happen.
Yeah.
But that's what this is. This is like everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong. That being said, and I am a huge fan of these kinds of movies, so I am the target audience. I've watched a lot of these over the years. And so I feel like I have a good authority on which ones of these are good and worth your time and which ones are not. Now, this is a Spanish film, so it is subtitled, but Netflix does have the English option if you don't want to read.
Yeah.
So I thought this was excellent.
Yeah.
And 1,000,000% worth your time, period. If you're a human who has empathy,
Yes.
then you're going to be riveted and you're going to potentially cry. You're potentially going to be like stressed out of your mind.
So
because
stressed.
Here's what the film does super, super well. And this is something that these films always have a hard time in balancing. They have to keep the plot intriguing, which is just like basically one person alone by themselves in a very confined area.
Yeah.
Like Buried with Ryan Reynolds or something, where you're just stuck in a single location, right? The Shallows with Blake Lively. Speaking of the married couple, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
It's that isolated area, one person. They try every single thing to survive.
Yeah.
Everything keeps going wrong, and they try a new thing, and they try a new thing. That gimmick is tough because you have to keep it believable. The person has to keep you engaged. They can't do anything super stupid to where you're like, okay, I'm just checked out. I hate this person. This is so dumb. You can't have the plot be too contrived.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a really hard balancing act, and this is done beautifully. I want to get like Kaylee talk, but I definitely have more to say.
Oh, well, yeah, I loved it too. I think it's a fantastic film. I was so engaged the entire time. I think that our lead character is very compelling. I think her performance, is really sympathetic and wonderful and very believable. And I do think that like she makes all of the best decisions that she can.
Yeah.
So that was the other part of the film, is that like you would call things out like, oh, she needs to do this, and then like literally the next scene she would be doing that.
Yes.
And so it was very common sense,
yes,
like oriented, which sometimes with films,
intelligent common sense.
Intelligent common sense, because there are definitely times where we've watched movies similar to this where characters are not choosing the obvious
yes
best choice and that can make the viewing experience frustrating.
Yes.
Because you're sitting there like, no, they just need to do this, like why wouldn't they do this? And that's not the case at all with this film. I think that all the decisions that she makes are justified and intelligent. So yeah, I was super invested the entire time.
100%. Never bored for 1 millisecond. always super engaged, and I was always rewarded
Yeah.
throughout the watch, right? Because the film is the film has so much intelligence on display, where the writers and the filmmakers really, really tried to make this woman smart
Yeah.
enough, but not unbelievably, have unbelievable ingenuity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where she can just, you know, make ridiculous things and all that. No, everything in the film makes perfect sense. And it's just that film of like really showcasing a human's desire and you know
Like the will to live.
yes,
Yeah.
the perseverance
Mm-hmm.
of humans, right? If they are so inclined. And the baby, right, aspect of the film really amps things up, and not in a like roll your eyes kind of way. The story that's set up here, because that's just the thing. It's while the shipping container in the ocean is the draw of the film, and it's the plot that everyone's trying to get to, everything leading up to those events are also dire. They're also thrilling.
Yeah.
They're also devastating.
Oh yes.
Like there's not a dull moment. The
No.
film starts, it hits the ground running.
Yeah.
And you are thrown into this chaotic, this like dictatorship regime takeover, and it's scary. It almost feels like World War II,
Yeah.
where the Jews are being rallied,
terrifying.
gathered.
Yeah.
It is terrifying, and of course um, it has similarities to people being like human trafficked,
Yeah.
right, as
Yeah.
well. But I was so impressed with how intelligent the decisions were in the film, because as you had said, there's all these like little subtle nuances to decisions, and things that people they're not even really connecting with, where I'm like, okay, she's okay because she has this and this, and she can use it in this and this way.
Yeah.
Right. And she needs to use this. And when I was really picking apart like all these things that she has, and literally, as she was saying, like I would say it and she would do it.
Yeah.
Basically in that order, like immediately after. It was like, okay, go get these things and do this with it, because that's what this is going to do. Yeah. And it's exactly what she does. And you're just like, yes, thank you. Because there's so many movies that we watch where it's like, this is such an obvious thing.
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing this thing? And this girl is put through absolute hell. Mm-hmm. Absolute hell. Incredible performance. Fantastic direction. Great writing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite films of the year.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
It's phenomenal. It's definitely worth your time, and I mean, I think you'll love it.
If you're into a survivalist movie, right? Like Castaway, but more thrilling, because he has an island to kind of hang out on, and it's not as treacherous as what she's dealing with. Oh my God. She's dealing with a shipping container in the ocean that could sink at any moment.
So dangerous.
And I mean, literally every single thing that could go wrong goes wrong. Yeah. But it never feels eye-rolly. It never feels like, oh God, here we go again. Yeah. It might to some people, because some people just get overwhelmed to the point where they're like, I just can't do it anymore. But I felt like everything that happened felt genuine. Yeah. It's like, these are the struggles you face. Now, of course, you could nitpick certain things and say, I don't know if this would happen like this. Like, I was thinking about certain things, but nothing that I could ever be like, well, I mean, I don't know for sure. Maybe it could, but it was never such a suspension of disbelief. I never had to suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
All that much.
Yeah.
It was always just like, no, I mean, she wants to survive.
Yes.
And she's gonna do it.
Absolutely.
Like, no matter what. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love watching. This is like a hour and a half long. I think it's an hour and 40. This is like an hour and 40-minute long saw trap.
Yes.
That
oh yeah.
And this chick did nothing to deserve
Nothing.
it, right?
She just exists.
But this is like a million times better than any Saw Trap and Saw X. This is like,
gosh,
holy shit. Now Jigsaw would be approving of this girl, right? And
yes.
if she survives this, he's got to be like,
she cherishes her life.
Yeah, you get a pass. You have officially got a plus in my book.
Yeah.
So, I can't praise this one enough. I love films like this. Massive fan, and this is one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, A plus, man, A plus, definitely. And this is one of those. This is one of those things, though. It's like, is it horror? Is it not? It's a thriller. The situation is horror as it gets. This is the scariest thing I could possibly imagine happening to you. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
What she's dealing with.
But it isn't.
There's not a guy with a knife coming at her, but
it's not like a slasher horror or supernatural horror. It's very realistic.
Literally
horror.
Every single thing. There's not a single thing in this film that isn't terrifying.
Yeah.
From the opening to like everything. Everything is devastating emotionally, devastating like in a scary way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, is it? I don't know what makes something horror technically, because if this isn't horror,
I think this is probably best classified as a thriller.
I get that.
I think that's probably the best like, genre label for people. But for us, like this is one of the scarier things that we've watched.
Yes.
Which if you watch it, I think you'll be able to understand why.
But it's it's like the movie. I didn't like this movie that much, but this is a similar movie to it, which we watched last year. Was The Fall.
Sure.
Right? It's similar. That same kind of concept of like you're stuck in a certain situation and you're trying absolutely everything to survive.
Yeah.
And they just made so many dumb decisions and so many things that I was just like, ugh, right? But with this one, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And she's dealing with way more.
Way more.
So fantastic. Everything looks great.
Yeah, it's a really great looking film.
The look of the ocean.
Sure.
And the shipping container and everything in it. And I loved it. Yeah. I loved it so much. So thrillers, horrors, I always put them together at the end of the year. So easy top 10, top 5 right now. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So 2 great movies in a row now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That we really loved.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Let's keep it going. All right, let us know if you watch it. It's on Netflix now, and it is worth your time if you can't tell. Bye.
Bye.